We live in a society where exposing vital truths is an arrestable offence, where political dissent is no longer tolerated, and where whistleblowers are labelled as a threat to national security. So in this report we're going to look at a recent case where an activist who shared vital information has been persecuted, while the mainstream media focuses on high-profile cases like Julian Assange and Bradley Manning. Now, as important as these cases are, and certainly need to remain in the public eye, other less reported activists are also being persecuted, and that, in my opinion, needs to be highlighted too. For example, it was revealed this week that Barrett Brown, a 31-year-old activist, will now spend a year in jail without trial. The federal trial against his alleged computer crimes has been pushed back 6 months, delaying the trial until September 2013. Brown was scheduled to stand trial later this month, but at the request of his attorneys, legal proceedings have been delayed. Doug Morris, a public defender appointed to serve as Brown's defence counsel, asked for an extension in order to evaluate the evidence against his client. Brown was arrested last September within hours of posting a video on YouTube that criticised an FBI agent. A SWAT team raided his home in Dallas, Texas, and placed him in custody for almost 1 month before charging him with threatening a federal officer. In December, while in custody, Brown was charged for a second time, this time for sharing a hyperlink in a chat room. A month later, he was charged for a third time for obstructing justice by knowingly and corruptly conceal and attempt to conceal records, documents and digital data contained on 2 laptop computers. Brown had previously been a well-known commentator on the activist group Anonymous, and he shared some of the same ideologies as the group. As a result, the mainstream media had branded him as a spokesperson for Anonymous, a role which he denies. Writing from his prison cell, he states, "I am not and never have been the spokesman for Anonymous, nor its public face, or worse, self-proclaimed face, or spokesperson, or leader." He first experienced legal problems in March of last year when FBI agents raided his home for computers that contained information pertaining to, among other things, the Anonymous Collective and the offshoot LulzSec. Anonymous had obtained gigs worth of data from servers belonging to Stratfor, a US intelligence company. Now, Brown is not being blamed for hacking into Stratfor servers, but for merely sharing a link to an archive of the files. While Brown is being charged for sharing a dozen credit card numbers, the information obtained by Anonymous include millions of emails from within Stratfor. The data was handed over to WikiLeaks after the hack, and the data has been steadily published by the whistleblower website. Brown explains, in the wake of the recent operation by which Stratfor servers were compromised, much of the media has focused on the fact that some participants in the attack chose to use obtained customer credit card numbers to make donations to charitable causes. Although this aspect of the operation is indeed newsworthy and, like all things, should be scrutinised and criticised as necessary, the original purpose and ultimate consequence of the operation has largely been ignored. Stratfor was not breached in order to obtain customer credit card numbers, which the hackers in question could not have expected to be as easily obtainable as they were. Rather, the operation was pursued in order to obtain the 2.7 million emails that exist on the firm's servers. The emails obtained by Anonymous revealed that the US had secretly created Trapwire, a detailed surveillance system more accurate than modern facial recognition technology, and covertly installed it right across the globe. The emails also revealed that law enforcement officials had spied on Occupy Wall Street protesters and showed that the US intended to remove the now deceased Hugo Chavez. While it's clear that the establishment, including the mainstream media, attempt to scare the public by labelling ethical activist groups like Anonymous and their associates as cyber terrorists, these groups have actually placed more vital information into the public domain than any government or news agency. Remember that most of these activist groups abide by the international rules of war, which is more than can be said for most Western governments. Most groups like Anonymous, Occupy and WikiLeaks are a response to the secretive and corrupt establishment, holding governments and the corporations that control it to account. We have a right to know what governments are doing in our name, and we have a right to know that they are using our tax dollars to further an imperialist agenda. And the fact that the establishment views these groups as a threat only further supports the accusation that the establishment is not interested in serving or protecting the people, but only interested in self-preservation and protecting its own business interests, and that is so determined to hide multiple levels of corruption that it will attempt to ridicule or silence anyone who reveals too much. Such action can only be tolerated by the general public for so long. Well, that's all from me for today. Thank you for watching, and please share this information with everyone you know. For more news that you're not supposed to know, visit rinf.com. I'm Mick Meaney, signing off for RINF Alternative News.